Whoever exalts himself will be humble, and whoever humbles himself will be exalted. Holy Mother Church on this 22nd Sunday in Ordinary Time encourages us to reflect on the most prominent theme of humility. But my dear brothers and sisters, what exactly is humility? Do we live in such a way that we can surely be called humble? Does being humble means lowering ourselves and thinking of ourselves as unworthy? Does it mean denying or downplaying our true value? Humility is not pretending to be low in order to be lifted up. Humility is not belittling ourselves or fearing others. Humility is not avoiding the responsibility that each one of us are called to embrace. True humility is recognizing that everything we have comes from Almighty God. That a humble person doesn't fear higher positions and important roles, but through them, power or higher position is a means for us to serve our brothers and sisters. A humble person doesn't seek glory for themselves, but they live with humility and simplicity by allowing God to work through them and decide what's best in any life situation. So humility is not about thinking less of ourselves, but maybe it's about not thinking of ourselves at all. And for us Christians, humility means to live like Christ lived, who said, "The Son of Man did not come to be served, but to serve and to give his life as a ransom for many." So humility means living as Christ did, not living for oneself, but for others, using our time, talent, and treasure, not for personal gains, but to serve others. So in our relationship with God and with others, we are called to live humbly in our thoughts, in our words and action. Because the humbler we are, the greater we become, and the more we are loved by Almighty God. I want to share with you a little story. One evening, a well-known singer decided to take his wife and 4 of their children to movie theater. When they arrived, there were only 6 people in the theater. As they entered, all 6 people in the theater stood up and applauded. The singer smiled and nodded in acknowledgement. After they sat down, the singer turned to his wife and said, "They probably recognize me because my songs have been widely advertised." Just then, a young man approached and shook his head. The singer asked him, "How do you recognize me?" But the young man replied, "I really don't know who you are, sir. We clapped because the theater manager said if there were not at least 10 people in the audience, he would not show the movie." My dear brothers and sisters, the story reminds us to live humbly. The singer, being a famous person, naturally assumed that the young man would know who he was, right? But when he found out it was not the case, we can only wonder how he felt in embarrassment. Not only Jesus encourages us to live humbly, but Jesus reminds us at the end of the gospel today to refocus all our thoughts and actions solely for the glory of God and the good of others. He said today, when you hold a lunch or a dinner, Do not invite your friends or your brothers and sisters or relatives or your wealthy neighbors, in case they may invite you back and you have repayment. Rather, when you hold a banquet, invite the poor, the cripple, the lame, the blind. Blessed will you be because of their inability to repay you. For you will be repaid at the resurrection of the righteous. Because of our fallen human nature, we can easily do what we do for selfish reasons. We want repayment for our labor and acknowledgement for our acts of kindness. We want to get ahead in life. We try to elevate ourselves over others. But Jesus makes it very clear today that our motivation for everything that we do ought to be only for the glory of God and the love of our neighbors. The poor, the crippled, the lame, the blind in the gospel message today refer to those who need our love. When we encounter those in need, we ought to offer our love, not because we get anything out of it, but because it is the right thing for us to do as Christians. It's not the repayment of recognition or praise. It's not the repayment of material things. It's not a payment that helps us to get ahead in life, but it is the payment of grace that makes us holy. And this is the only motivation that we should have in life. A motivation for holiness by glorifying God through our love of Him and our love for our brothers and sisters. I want to close today with this story and hope that you can go deeper and in your further reflection with your family and with your spouse today. Once there was a man who hosted a big banquet. He invited many guests. Among them was a well-known person named John. When John arrived, the host invited him to sit at the head table. But John declined and chose to sit with the poor and the humble guests instead. As more guests arrived, everyone rushed to sit in the front tables. Eventually, the only remaining seat was the very last one, the one where John was sitting. Finally, the mayor showed up. With no other seats left, the host had no choice but to invite the mayor to sit at the last table with John. The mayor hesitated and said, "But this is the lowest table." The host quickly responded, "Not at all, sir. This is the table of honor, because Mr. John is sitting here." The mayor said no more and quietly took his seat. The meaning of this story is clear. It's not the seat that gives honor to the person. It is the person who gives honor to the seat.